The Armenian president said Egypt and Armenia are closely cooperating in the political, economic, cultural, scientific, and touristic domains, but unfortunately, the volume of trade between the two countries is still not satisfactory. Both countries signed a cooperation memo in the fields of culture and youth. The memo was inked by Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs Sameh Shukri.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by Her Excellency Ambassador Saad Chalabi, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. It's a very good afternoon to you, Madam Ambassador.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us this afternoon. And of course, today's President Sisi received the Armenian Prime Minister. Talks centered on a number of bilateral as well as regional and international issues. Could you tell us a bit more about the talks that topped the agenda of the meeting?
Well, as you know, President Sisi had last year, and this is the visit of the Prime Minister Pashinyan, who is visiting Egypt now in order to develop and expand the cooperation between the two countries and to follow up on the presidential visit of President Sisi's last visit. Mm-hmm. President Sisi's visit was the first ever visit by Egyptian president to Armenia. That is why it has a lot of impact on different sectors in cooperation. And of course, between Egypt and Armenia, there are a lot of close ties for centuries, and there are many Armenians who live in Egypt and who have contributed to the business community in Egypt, and they have their role in the development of various fields. That is why the Armenian government is keen to expand and deepen the relations with Egypt, and the visit of the Prime Minister emphasized this and deepened the trade and economic cooperation between the two countries, and also the development of the business ties between the two countries.
Indeed. Lots of memorandums of understanding were actually signed today, and the visit by the Armenian Premier has reflected on Egypt's deep interest in developing, as you said, ties with regards to the economic and trade spheres. Could you tell us a bit more regarding this, Your Excellency?
Yes, there was a memorandum of understanding on economic cooperation that was signed between the Armenian Ministry of Economy and the Egyptian Ministry of International Cooperation. Also, there was a program on scientific and technical cooperation in the field of agriculture, and this program is scheduled between 2024 to 2026, and it was signed between the Ministry of Economy of the Republic of Armenia and the Ministry of Agriculture and Land Improvement in Egypt. Also, there was a third one, a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in the field of environmental protection. It was signed between the two ministries of environment because Armenia had played a role in the conference that was held in Sharm el-Sheikh for environment 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, besides ties and economic ties, both sides also address the situation and the crisis in Gaza, as well as the global economic repercussions of the Russian-Ukrainian war. How far do you see Egypt and Armenia, agreeing with regards to the situation and the repercussions on the ongoing crises in Gaza?
Well, of course, the two countries are on the same page regarding the position towards Israel and towards the stop of the cessation of hostilities between in Gaza, because as you know that there has been many calls for ceasefire from all countries around the world, and the United Nations have been calling, and there was no response from the Israeli government, and the continuous war that is happening in Gaza has forced all countries to call for immediate ceasefire and to pass all the humanitarian aid, and that is the same position that Prime Minister Pashinyan, when he was in the conference, in the press conference, he also asked for the peace and stability in the Middle East, and called for immediate ceasefire, and also facilitating humanitarian aid reaching the Gazans who are in great need of humanitarian medicals and food and all the necessary stuff in order to be able to live, not to only to just to live, and or else there will be there will be a disaster in Gaza. People are dying, not only from the shelling, but also from hunger.
Absolutely, Madam Ambassador. Also, Egypt, as you said, plays a very important role with regards to consolidating stability in the Middle East, as well as the Mediterranean basin and Africa as a whole, especially within the framework of supporting peaceful resolutions to existing crises, as well as combating issues of illegal immigration, achieving religious coexistence, etc. What role do you see, and how do you shed light on this pivotal role played by Egypt, Madam Ambassador?
Well, as you know, that Egypt also strengthens peace and stability and the implementation of the process that is taking place in the South Caucasus and the Middle East, because this is important for Armenia, and it's the problems that are happening with Azerbaijan. Armenia and Azerbaijan have a peace treaty, and this is Egypt president was discussing this problem with the premier of Armenia, and this has reflected, of course, on the positions of the Armenian side in that regard, and also the crossroads of peace projects between the Armenian government and its principles, because this is important for Armenia. So the two presidents, the two leaders were talking about the humanitarian problems of Armenians who were forcibly displaced from Nagorno-Karabakh, and the measures that has been taken by the Armenian government to resolve these problems. And this has been discussed between the two leaders.
Right, absolutely. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Saad Shalabi, the former assistant to the Foreign Minister. Thank you very much, ma'am, for all your time and your insight, and for joining us on today's episode of Cairo Local Time. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break, and we'll be right back for more. Do stay tuned. Welcome back, and still with our news. Earlier on Tuesday, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Lieutenant General Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, Bahrain's National Security Advisor, Commander of the Royal Guard, and Secretary General of the Higher Defense Council. The Intelligence Chief General Abbas Kamel attended the meeting. Presidential spokesperson Councillor Ahmed Fahmy said during the meeting, Lieutenant General Nasser conveyed an oral message from Bahrain's monarch lauding ties between the two countries. He said the message also expressed his appreciation to efforts by Cairo to face the regional challenges and their repercussions on both local and foreign arenas. Message expressed appreciation to cooperation between the two sides in various fields. The meeting also tackled developments in the Gaza Strip and reviewed Egyptian efforts to calm the situation. Spokesperson also said both sides reiterated the need for an immediate ceasefire and for allowing sufficient humanitarian assistance into the enclave. Bahraini official lauded Egyptian airdropping of aid, saying it guaranteed reaching the biggest number of Palestinians in the north, as well as the entry of assistance from the Rafah border crossing. Both sides also stressed the need to contain the situation and prevent